Welcome everyone, and thank you all for joining the Tech Talk today. My name is Donna, and we are going to talk about RPA for accelerated lending. Next slide, please. Thank you. Our agenda starts off with a quick introduction to Idexcel and our services. Then I will introduce you to our speaker today, Sana Perwin, who will cover RPA for accelerated lending. There will be a quick intro to RPA, and then we will give you our perspective of RPA in lending. Then we will show you 3 different use cases. Finally, we will give you some quick steps that will help get you started. You may send questions at any time by using the chat window, and all will be addressed during the question and answer session following the presentation. Next slide, please. Idexcel is a professional services and technology solutions provider headquartered in Herndon, Virginia, with over 20 years of experience in implementing complex technologies. We are an AWS exclusive partner specializing in artificial intelligence, machine learning, data services, and cloud services for both commercial and public sector customers. We are also partners with Automation Anywhere, exclusively for robotic process automation. Our RPA engineers are certified in Automation Anywhere at an advanced level. Idexcel is focused on supporting the AWS cloud. We are an advanced AWS partner and AWS reseller. We achieved AWS competencies in migration, DevOps, financial services, and expecting 2 more by the end of the year. We are a recent AWS Redshift. We are recognized as a public sector partner with authorization to resell and service the AWS GovCloud. We are also a preferred partner for the Well-Architected Framework Program, or WAF, and Immersion Day partner. Next, please. Here are the 4 core areas we specialize in with extensive expertise in migration, automation and AI, cloud native, and data modernization services. Among these, within automation and AI, Invisible Automation is our specialization, which focuses on combining both RPA and AI to deliver full-fledged automation solutions. Now, let me introduce our speaker, Sana Perwin. Sana has expertise in building bots for several different organizations in the financial services space. She likes to engage in discussions centered on problem solving using RPA. Sana, just a little bit of a personal info. Sana spends her free time reading books, and one of her favorites is Sherlock Holmes. Now, before we hand it over to Sana, let's do a quick poll. Which category of lending are you directly or indirectly involved in? Commercial, personal, both or none? Okay, just give it a few more seconds. Okay. All right, it looks like we have for both personal and commercial. Now, handing it over to Sana. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much, Donna. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us for the Tech Talk. I would be going through a brief introduction of robotic process automation so that we can understand how it is going to benefit in the lending ecosystem. So when we talk about automation, it has been around for decades. Factories and industrialization were a start of it. Similarly, RPA or robotic process automation is a technology that is used to mimic the actions of a human being who is basically interacting with a digital system. So this mimicking is done by the so-called software robots, which have the tendency to interact with multiple applications and perform rule-based tasks. So the bots can do things like understand what's on the screen, complete some sort of keystrokes, navigate systems, identify and extract data, and perform a wide range of defined actions. But what really differentiates the human worker from the bot is that these software robots can do all of these in a much more faster and in a much more consistent manner. So this ultimately leads to a higher productivity, efficiency, and resilience within the organization. So many organizations have in the recent years already implemented RPA in its processes and departments. Now let us have a look at the latest RPA trends. So as per research conducted by the Global View Research, we see an increasing trend in the US RPA market, covering both the software and the services as two different distinct areas where RPA solutions have been and will continue to be implemented. Service-related operations and departments are where the bulk of automation implementation will take place. So in the year 2015, the US RPA market size was 77, close to 77 million US dollars. And with the increasing trend, the global robotic process automation market size was valued at a whopping $1.5 billion in the year 2020. And it is definitely expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate close to 32% from the year 2021 to the year 2025. The RPA service segment accounted for the highest market share of over 61% in the year 2020, and this growth is attributed to the rising demand to accomplish repetitive high volume tasks by outsourcing RPA and deploying software robots through the cloud for automation. And it is quite evident that this market is anticipated to evolve with the integration of the cognitive technologies. In such a highly competitive market, it has become really essential to increase the agility of work and deliver enhanced customer experiences. RPA has been deployed for across various industries, and it has really helped to reduce the overhead labor cost for the repetitive task. Talking about the strategic priorities of the organization, here is another study conducted by Deloitte, which suggests that organizations has a major priority of 35%, which is to focus on the continuous improvement, and then 24%, which is to increase the level of automation within the organization, and at 17% to develop analytics capabilities. So given the high impact of RPA on these top three priorities, continued investment in its adoption is really not surprising. Moving on, here are some of the top trends which will be aligned to the two studies, the result of the two studies that we just went through now. So the very first one being RPA and intelligent automation. So we understand that a lot of RPA focus started off with steps to automate straightforward clicks on a computer screen. But this is really going to change where the RPA bots are now turbocharged with artificial intelligence using the machine learning models to perform, learn, and take cognitive decisions. The integration has already started, which will enable end-to-end process automations. As an example, consider automating files from email attachments being segregated based on the email subject. But don't you think that it would be better to segregate these files based on the content and the context of the information? And this is exactly how we can do this by combining the AI and ML models to the RPA. So in continuation to the above point, the next trend is really important. So we now have capabilities to perform RPA automation along with the AI and ML in the cloud. So this really removes the important infrastructure requirement barrier and can also work on infra that is outside of your office working space. So in a word, it really means RPA as a service. So automation softwares that is simple to access and use for anyone with a basic internet connection on really any device. Cloud RPA enables users to automate any process via a web-based interface accessed in their browser. One of the applications of having the intelligent RPA bots is in eliminating the paperwork. So this is the third trend where the bots can eliminate the paperwork, and the intelligent bots would be used for extracting, filing, and processing data online. The virtual workforce of bots might be on its way to eliminate paper invoices, client forms, and everything that could be lost in the office. And since we are already talking about RPA in the cloud, a lot of us would be worried about the data security. To increase security and reduce breaches, many regulations are already in place. But organizations also have to ensure that the personal data of its customers are processed fairly. They will have the obligation to inform the data owners of the collection, processing, storage, and use of their personal data. RPA only ensures that you can adhere to these requirements. Now, RPA can handle these requirements, the customer data in obedience with any regulations implied to ensure safety. And robots along the way, they generate records and audit logs, which would automatically prove compliance. Donna, over to you.
All right, and I'm opening our second poll. Are you using RPA or any form of automation software in your organization? Please let us know. I will give it a few more seconds, a minute for everyone to review and respond, and then we'll share the results. Okay, we have a mix of that one. All right, back to you.
Thank you. So talking about RPA in lending, the lending scenario has turned out to be a very competitive environment today with rising customer expectations, compliance needs, and competing technologies. So customers now look for fast, seamless, and hassle-free access to loan products. Lenders in turn are using different tools and processes to improve efficiency, offer quick approvals, and earn customer loyalty. So RPA has proven to be really useful throughout the stages of loan origination process. So talking about the very basic stage of onboarding the borrowers, the customer acquisition is a very important stage in business. We can trigger RPA bots for different marketing activities, And a pressing problem that there is today is to identify the validity of the leads. And this is where you can utilize the bots to perform a check on the leads. Once a customer is onboarded, one more step that is there is to do the KYC, know your customer, and we can use the RPA across many of the manual information gathering and verification processes required in the initial phases of onboarding the clients. So for example, obtaining mandatory documentation can be simplified by requiring clients to upload their documents to a portal where they can be processed automatically. Once the documents are uploaded to a portal for the KYC process, the RPA technology can upload them to the bank systems and kick back any sort of exceptions that there may exist. The time needed to complete many of the onboarding tasks can be significantly reduced when utilizing RPA capabilities like logging into the web or the enterprise applications, and extracting data from reports and various documents. Other processes like confirming client prospects and archiving customer information can be automated using the capabilities of reading and writing to the databases. The next stage would be data processing, where data aggregation is really critical. That's where automation can help. It's a really back and forth process as the representative attempts to gather as much information as possible to gain a detailed view of the potential insured. During the process, data may arrive in a variety of formats such as emails, photos, videos, PDF files, and really multiple disparate systems and external sources. So as a result, documents processing is error prone, with information about the insured potentially being overlooked. The RPA bots can access, organize, and analyze data to provide a better, more detailed insight for the decision making. And along with this, it can access the rule-based eligibility of the borrower, like the age of the applicant must fall between a certain range, or the income must exceed a certain set limit, or the PIN code of the applicant must be serviceable. So talking about the approval stage, uh, we uh, we have the stage of underwriting. So underwriting is performed by an underwriter from the loan lending institutions, which uses various parameters like credit score, debt, income, and value of the collateral of the borrower to determine if a particular application is of acceptable risk. Intelligent automation software robots can be used in a variety of ways to streamline the insurance underwriting. So intelligent automation can gather and organize data from various sources like internal or external. It can extract information from unstructured data sources such as emails or PDFs, and it can also automate the risk submission process end to end. Talking about the dispersal step, auto dispersal based on the defined parameters set by the loan officers can be easily implemented through RPA. So defined set of checks like the history of the borrower, credit checks, etc. would be performed by the bot, and upon the successful check, the dispersal can be done through the RPA solution. And if processing the loan application is just one part of the job, the other half of it is more of a burden. The banks have to report to the Federal Reserve not just once, but really every month until the loan amount is paid in full for every loan that have been disbursed. And this needs serious manpower. Banks have to sift through the thousands of loans that have been disbursed and create and send out reports for each one of them to the Federal Reserve. a significant task that takes a considerable number of man hours. And talking about the reporting, as you would be able to understand, is predominantly a repetitive task that includes data validation, data consolidation, templatized report creation, and also email triggering. Okay, we have the poll 3.
All right. Which of the following best describes your organization's use of RPA? Do you use RPA across all functions? Do you use them in specific functions? Are you currently not using RPA anywhere but plan to implement it? Do you currently not use it but plan to implement it at some point in the future? Or do you not plan to use RPA at all? Let's give it a few more seconds. All right, thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you. So now we would be going through a few use cases specific to the financial services sector. So the very first one being the use case of mortgage processing. So mortgage lending is like quite paper intensive. There are a number of documents involved along with the application, and it really comes in high volumes and it is exceedingly resource intensive. So this can be easily addressed by RPA. So the solution could include RPA bots which could process, read, and compile data from the documents. And the second one being it could, the data extracted from the documents, it could be verified against the sources which are set by the loan officers. It could be done by the bot. And the third one being it could process the audit trials by adhering to the rules and regulations. So the benefits would be like reducing, it would help in reducing the operational cost. It would definitely give higher quality because going through the documents is something that is error prone. And since the RPA can really help in the audit steps as it creates logs throughout its processing. So the loan officers can have the control checkpoints, and just in case if any sort of exception occurs, the loan officers can have a second review and take it to the next steps. Looking at the second use case, we have the loan due report use case. Keeping a check on the due dates for the borrowers, it is something that needs to be done time and again, and creating a report is something that is quite time taking. So since RPA is quite efficient in addressing all of these, so the solution could be that RPA could be easily integrated with the core banking applications. So we can include RPA with the existing applications of the bank. So the bot can read the loan details of the borrowers, and it could prepare a report basis the information that it reads, and it could automail the report to the loan officers. And one more thing that can be included along with it is that the bot can send out email notifications 15 days prior to the borrowers, 15 days prior to their due date. The benefit is really amazing, specifically because report creation is something that can be done in minutes by the RPA bots, and no manpower is really required. It can all be handled through the bot. So the loan officers can directly access these reports and work on the next steps really. And looking forward for the third use case, we have the loan closure process. So in order to close a loan and go for the closure steps, the lending officers have to do multiple checks in order to validate if there are any pending amount still left for the borrowers. And this kind of rule-based checks can be handled by the RPA robots. So how we can address this is that the RPA bot can be integrated with the core banking applications. It would basis the rule that is provided, it can check for the pending amount, and it could sort of provide a remark against the borrower, as in if there are any pending amount left, or is it good to go for the closure. And the loan officers can directly use that report and work on the next steps. So the initial steps would be performed by the RPA bot, and it is really a helping hand for the rule-based repetitive task. So the benefit is definitely that these kind of checks can be completed by the RPA bot, and the loan officers can uh, uh, take the next steps basis the report that is shared by the bot. And the report is something that is created by the bot, which has a really less probability of error. And if the same thing is performed by a human, it has high chances of having errors, and it would really become a back and forth process of cross-checking. So now, how do you really start to implement RPA and scale RPA in your organization? So I would say the very first step is to start small with a proof of concept. You can pick a task that is repetitive, rule-based, or which really comes in high volume, and RPA can be implemented for that particular process. And you can see the bot in action, which can really build up the confidence to implement RPA throughout the other processes within the organization. The second one is to start RPA, you don't really need to have any sort of extra infrastructure to be included in the organization. RPA is integratable with the existing infrastructure, be it legacy or cloud. The third one is that RPA is really something that is to be implemented for the longer run in the organization. So it is always a better idea to build a solution, RPA solution, that aligns with the organizational vision and strategy, and not just for the near future benefits. The fourth one being, when you implement RPA, it is crucial that you define some success criteria of the bot. And the success criteria could be anything ranging from decreasing the headcount for the process, or to have a reduction in the operational cost, or to increase the efficiency within the processes. So having such criteria would help the organization to measure how RPA is really helping them to scale and have a streamlined process. So I would say that if you have really started out on your RPA journey, it is like great. And if you have not yet, then it is a good time to start and to adopt the RPA technology. It is a really good time, and it can RPA really helps in improving the compliance, quality, accuracy, productivity, and it helps in reducing the costs as well. And specific to the lending industry, it is something, RPA is something that is a disruption that that the organization needs to have. So RPA in loan processing is really helpful in speeding up the customer facing loan application process, and this can easily translate to various areas around the loan application process. And this is something that the organization can really look forward to have it on board, have RPA on board. And um, yeah, that's it. RPA is something that you should definitely have. Yeah, thank you. And we would now be moving ahead for the for the poll 4. Yeah, over to you, Donna.
All right, give me one moment. For our final poll today, do you agree that the company's productivity is positively related to the level of RPA implementation? Do you think it's a great deal, moderately, or little to none? Let's give it a few more seconds before we open our Q&A. All right, a great deal. Thank you very much. It's winning. So thank you all for joining and for viewing the presentation. We hope we were able to meet your expectation. Please visit our website at idexcel.com to know more about us, and follow us on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/company/idexcel-inc. And our Twitter handle is at IDXL. This concludes today's Tech Talk. Thank you all for attending.